First of all, we don't have all the information. Both.
The chief of police or the mayor? Which one?
I'm asking you to respect me as I'm going to respect you. Okay. And I'm talking to the media. Okay? I've got the people can hear. We're about to close this press conference. We're about to close the press conference.
That's the mayor, Keith Summey, back in Charleston, South Carolina, North Charleston, I believe it is, being disrupted there by protesters during that news conference on the police shooting of an unarmed man, Walter Scott. And we know emotions are running high, obviously, and the officer's been charged with murder. We got the report earlier from Joe Gomez in the latest. I want to get the legal angle here, and Brian Bouffard is back with us this morning, trial attorney who's worked several cases involving police officers involved in shootings. Brian, good morning.
Gary, good morning. How are you?
I'm well. Thanks for coming back on here. Pretty cut and dried, I guess, regarding the charges at least, right? Murder one?
You know what, I don't usually like to say that, but yeah, I mean, I don't know that I've ever in my career seen a video as clear-cut as this in a case of cold-blooded back-shooting murder that is just caught on tape. It's amazing.
What would be, I mean, obviously there's going to be an investigation and the officer's side of the story will be told, but if you were defending this man, from what we know now, what would you do?
You know, it's hard to say. I would certainly like to know what my client tells me was in his mind, and I would like to assess the claim that he feared for his life, because that video doesn't show a man who should have been in reasonable fear of anything. You know, this person was yards away, running away. His back was to the officer, and you know, again, I don't know that I've ever seen anything quite this clear-cut a piece of evidence.
Right, especially since there's no evidence, at least that we can see or that we've heard, that Mr. Scott was armed. And the reason I bring that up is because I imagine part of the defense will be that the officer can claim that, well, I feared that he would be a danger to other people. And that is a defense, is it not?
Well, no, it's not.
Okay.
The Supreme Court said years and years ago that you're not allowed to shoot at a fleeing felon. This person, far from being a felon, had been pulled over on a traffic violation. So, to me, there's a number of problems that this points out. Number one is that without this video, this officer is able to plant that taser next to him and able to lie to investigators and probably get a jury to believe it. And so that's a real problem, and you really have to take your hat off to the bravery of this person who recorded this. The other thing I believe that this points out is the desperate need for every police officer everywhere at every time to be required to wear body cameras.
Yeah, and they're going to do that now. They're going to do that in Charleston.
They need to do it everywhere, and there's no excuse for them not doing it. And cries of, well, we don't have the funding, you know, that's ridiculous. You can find other areas where you can cut funding and protect citizens, you know.
Yeah, to me, the most damning piece, well, other than the shooting itself, which was horrific, the most damning piece is when you see the officer go back, pick up the taser, and walk over to Scott and drop it there on the ground.
Yeah, that's planting
what
evidence.
possible reason could there be for doing that?
He's manufacturing evidence. He did not know that he was being filmed, and he knew, and quite reasonably knew, that he could make up a story and it would be believed. And so, again, you know, this happens way too often in our country, and not necessarily, you know, a murder, but certainly an officer who feels that he or she can say whatever they want and it's going to be believed.
Talking with trial attorney Brian Bouffard for another second here. Brian, talk a little bit about the dynamic of a jury in a case involving a police officer as opposed to a case involving two civilians. It's different, isn't it?
It can be very different. Most of us, myself included, were raised as children to believe that police officers are our friends and police officers are going to protect us and serve us, and that they're safe to interact with. And that reality may be true for me, you know, or maybe not, but it's certainly not true for other segments of our community. And it's high time that we accept that. And it's high time that we, you know, start getting jury panels who won't just look at a nice pressed uniform and a shiny badge and believe that whatever that person is saying has to be the gospel truth.
Good to have you with us, Brian. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Always.
Gary. Take care.
Brian Bouffard, trial attorney here on the Good Morning Show.